Welcome to another broadcast of Connect, Elder-to-Elder Conversations here at E2 Effective Elders. And today we explore the equipping of the existing elders as well as recruiting the next generation of elders.
Hey everyone, welcome to the E2 Effective Elders podcast. Visit us at e2elders.org and please share this good word with others.
Hey, welcome everybody to Connect. We're having another elder-to-elder conversation today, thanks to the outrageous generosity of CDF Capital. Thank you, Dusty. You and your team are investing in elders across the country and literally around the world. Hey, today I want to welcome and introduce to you Joe Tipton. Joe is the lead minister at First Christian Church in Monticello, Kentucky. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks, Gary. It's great to be here. Big fan of E2. Just a big fan of what you guys do.
Well, thank you. And I happen to know from conversation with you that you really are. And the Lord has used our resources to be a blessing to you there at First Church, for which we're grateful.
In more ways than you can imagine.
Well, you know what? Why don't you close the gap a little bit with people who are listening or watching? Tell us a little bit about your story, Joe.
Yeah, so I graduated from college in 2006, went into youth ministry at the same time, started going part-time to seminary at Cincinnati Christian, where I met David Roadcup, who's a big part of the E2 family. Became very involved in what he was doing, interested in what he was doing. He also worked as a consultant at the church where I was a youth minister, just outside Lexington. So I've known him and his thinking for a long time. Finished up my graduate work in 2009, 2011. I moved to Monticello, Kentucky, down in southern Kentucky, right on the Tennessee border. An old historic church was founded by Raccoon John Smith.
Wow.
In 1831. So this is our 190th year here. And so it's been an exciting run. Been here almost 10 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. As soon as you said 1831 and Raccoon John Smith, for those who are watching or listening, in this, the Restoration Movement, the Stone Campbell Movement, our very first church that organized was 1811 in Brush Run, Pennsylvania. So when I hear you tell that story, not even 25 years had passed, 20 years had passed, and here comes First Christian Church in Monticello. That's a great story.
One of the things I learned at Cincinnati with Dr. North was when Stone and Campbell came together at the meeting in Georgetown, Raccoon John Smith was the first speaker that night. Wow. So he was involved in the whole formation of what's here today.
That's fun. And what a heritage your church family has since 1831. That's great. Well, everybody, what we're going to do today is we're going to, again, explore these 6 challenges that are facing elders. We speak of them with every episode. ELDERS, E, evangelism, L, leadership, D, discipleship, E, the equipping of the existing elder team, R, the recruiting of the next generation elders, and S, the internal structure of leadership in the church. Now, we at E2, we've just surpassed 9,000, the number 9,000 elders, church leaders with whom we have spoken in our conferences, and these 6 challenges keep coming up. Doesn't matter where we are in the country. These are the 6 non-negotiable challenges. Now, Joe is going to help us today to unpack really 2 of them that are blended together, and that is the equipping of the existing elder team while onboarding, recruiting the next generation of elders. So, Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit of the story there from First Church as to how you're equipping and how you're onboarding and why this is so important.
Right. So at the end of 2019, going into the fall, we were just coming out of a pretty large building project in which we just completed. We'd added some staff. Things were going really well. But we started to notice that some of our guys who have served as elders for different periods of time were starting to age. And one of the things that I was concerned about, and I think they were concerned about it as well, is when there's so much at stake, you don't want a situation in which you have massive amounts of turnover at one time. You want some continuity. So we were very concerned about that. So we started with this conversation that we'd had over the years, but we really got more serious about it in 2019. We started sort of going through the process of looking, who are the next 3 or 4 or 5 guys that we really think would be potential leaders in our congregation, guys who are already serving in different areas or respected, who have the tool set, the skills that we're looking for to take us to the next level and really help us achieve what we feel like the Lord's called us to do. So we identified several of those guys, and we put them in different layers, different tiers, so to speak, just based on a lot of different factors: age, how long they've been a part of the church, where they are in their spiritual life. And from that, we narrowed it down to really 4 guys that we thought would be great potential leaders. And we started to engage with them in the process. And that process, the first step was as simple as 2 current elders going to them and saying, hey, your name has come up. We'd like you to pray about this. We'd like you to talk to your wife about this. And then in a few weeks, we'll come back and we'll have just a little more in-depth discussion. Out of that, one of those 4 guys, after talking with his family, he said, I'm really happy with what I'm doing in the church now. I don't feel like the Lord is calling me to this position. And we understood that. We don't want to push somebody into something. 3 of the 4 guys, though, said, we really feel like this is something the Lord would lead us to do, and we'd like to engage in the process. So then we go through the vetting that you do and some of the initial conversations. And as a part of that, in January of 2020, before we all entered into the twilight zone that became 2020, we started this process of, hey, we're going to meet a couple times a month, and we're going to work through this E2 curriculum. Our current elders had been reading the books. They'd gone to several of the conferences you did at Johnson University. Dr. Roadcup has been here, I think, 3 times in the last 10 years. So this was something that our current elders were really engaged with. And in fact, some of the guys who have been serving for a while said, I wish we'd had something like this when I came on.
Wow.
So they were firm believers in that. So when the curriculum came out, and it's in we talked about this in the elders toolbox here.
Oh, wait, hold that up. Let me see that, please. Elders yes. Toolbox, One of these. Very good. The elders toolbox.
All the reading material and the videos. It's broken up into 16 sessions. So we just say, hey, we're going to work our way through this. COVID hits, slowed us down some, but we picked up steam. And then last night we were in session 14.
Last night
we had
session 14.
Session 14. So the light is at the end of the tunnel.
Incredible.
So that's where we are. 14 sessions in.
Great. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Jim Estep, Dr. Estep, he's writing 3 more lessons. Since we put that together, we've produced new material. So you will be getting an addendum. Anybody who already has invested in this will be getting an addendum. All right. Well, now, so you've said a couple of things that's very helpful. As a leadership team, you realized that the team is aging.
Yes.
And you need for the team to onboard the next generation of elders. So these 3 brothers, about how old are they? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
the 3 guys that are coming on are all in the 35 to 40 range.
Okay.
So we feel like they've got long-term potential. We're thinking in terms of decades of leadership, not just, a couple years here and there. We really want them to be a part of the future of our church. And we've picked guys that we think have some long-range potential. And one of the things that we wanted, especially, we didn't want to wait until we had a situation. And I remember one of the nights we had this discussion because we live near Lake Cumberland. We had our elders meeting on one of our current elders. He's got a pontoon, very nice pontoon. And we're out there. And the question became, hey, God forbid this would happen, but if this boat sinks tonight, what happens to the church? And you look around and, some of these guys are all about the same age, late 60s, around 70. And, God forbid, but you could have a situation where two or three guys, just by virtue of health challenges or whatever, have to go off. So we knew we needed some fresh blood and some fresh energy.
Sure. And how often do you meet for this equipping to become better equipped as elders?
Yeah, at least once a month and sometimes twice, depending on the schedule. We try to work around everybody's schedule pretty well. The current elders are involved in that. The three guys that are coming on and myself would be the four constants. And then the fifth person in this meeting is one of our current elders. We sort of, every 3 or 4 months, we look at the schedule and we say, hey, the topic this week, is leading by example. Who would really like to come and help to talk about that? And one of them will volunteer. So we've tried to match them up. So they're involved in the discussions as well.
All right. So your existing elders are a part of this journey.
Yes. Yep. Every week, every month.
So you started January 2020. So it sounds like it's about a year and a half long. Is that?
Yeah. It probably would have been quicker without COVID, but there were 4 or 5 months there. We just basically shut down and didn't do a whole lot of anything. I mean, we were still in contact, but we weren't, pushing through the material.
Are you building relational brotherhood, relational capital with each other?
Yes. Play some golf together, eat meals together. We do a lot of the social events together. One of the things that we did in January of this year, when we sort of got to the next level of this process, is these three guys who were onboarding started attending our regular elders meetings. Now they would come to special meetings if there was a need, but we wanted them to go ahead and have a voice at the table, even before. I didn't want their first elders meeting they attend to be, hey, we've got some hard decisions to make. I wanted them to hear those conversations and sort of see how this goes before they have the pressure of any decision making.
Got it. And tell me, how helpful or practical has this preparation journey been for these three guys?
We talked about this last night, knowing that you and I were going to have this conversation. And I just asked them, I said, hey, what do you think? And I was blown away by the positive comments. The videos are helpful in the sense of you're hearing guys that have a ton of experience with this stuff. When you hear Gary Johnson talk, or you hear David Roadcup or Jim Eastep, I mean, these are guys that aren't just theorizing or philosophizing about this stuff. These are guys that have lived this, so there's some credibility there. The reading material has been helpful. These three guys in particular are all very sharp. They can digest lots of information. So the reading material has been something that we can supplement, and of course you give the recommended readings, but they're sawing through these books just like crazy. And then the discussions that it's prompted, I think, have been the thing I think that they brought up, and I like about it too, is not only do you get sort of the theological grounding of this, here's what an elder looks like, here's biblically what this is supposed to look like, but you also get that practical side of it, is these guys have lived this out. Now we're going to bring in some of our current elders who have been living this. We're going to talk about different scenarios from the life of our church, and probably things that you're going to face in the future. So it's kind of this good flavor, this good mixture of theological grounding plus, real life examples.
So do you think, back when I was working in commercial banking, this was before going to seminary. So it was in the late 1970s. This was back when Ronald Reagan was president. Wow. And there was major legislation called Truth in Lending. And that's when full disclosure of the real cost of borrowing had to take place. That's when the APR, annual percentage rate, was developed. Yeah. And that legislation was somebody who was going to sign on the dotted line for a loan, whether on a credit card, a mortgage, whatever, a car loan, they had to know the true cost of borrowing. So what we've tried to do with the toolbox, or really any of our resources, when it comes to recruiting the next generation of elders, we want them to understand the true cost of what it takes to be a shepherd of the flock, of what will be required of them. And is any of that a part of this phenomenon of your 1.5 year journey where they're understanding this is who an elder is, this is what an elder does, and so on?
So our church, we just went through a situation that was fairly difficult, just involving a family that's been a big part of our church. And one of the things that the current elder who was a part of our meeting last night, we just talk about this stuff because these guys are going to be in those rooms. And he brought up the point, I forget how he worded it, but he basically said, when things are going great and the money's coming in and the ministry staff's happy and people are being baptized, being an elder is great. It's not bad. But then he brought up the other side of that is there are times when it's not easy and there are difficult conversations. He gave a couple examples of things that he's been through, or church discipline, the idea that we've got to go talk to somebody about something. And he really brought that home that, hey, this is not always easy. Now, he's not painting, I've heard some guys just talk about the drudgery of it. It's not all, most of it's great. I mean, you know that. But there are some times that are very difficult. And to hear some of the examples you guys use in the videos, and then to have some of the examples just contextualized for where we are and what we've gone through as a church has been powerful.
Great. Very, very good. Any word that you would share with people listening or watching about what you've come to value as equipping the existing team or recruiting new people to be on the team?
I think the biggest thing I would say when I came here, it was interesting. Most of the guys that are current elders now are very accomplished people in their professional lives. I mean, very, they've done outstanding work in their lives. And I was a younger guy coming into a historic church, trying not to mess it up. So there was a part of me, if I had wanted to, I could have been pretty intimidated. But then the flip side of that is having E2, having those resources available, I could point them to something that would challenge their thinking, that would help all of us get better. And I think I was blown away by how responsive they were to that. And the same thing with these three guys that are coming on. There's a part of you that thinks, boy, these guys are busy. They've all got young kids. They've got careers. The idea of going to them and saying, hey, let's spend 18 months working our way through a program and reading all these books. But there again, man, they just grabbed onto that. So I think there's some people probably in most churches that are kind of waiting to be challenged a little bit, waiting to be pointed in the right direction or coached or whatever, that will do that if we'll just ask them, if we'll just make the ask.
Sure. There were some words that you just spoke that really caught my attention. And you said, here are the existing elders that were on the team when you arrived, all very accomplished. But then you said they wanted to be better.
They did. Yeah. And still do.
Yeah. See, that's huge. An elder team cannot become equipped to be more effective unless they want to be more effective.
I'll give you an example. The stuff that you guys have done at Johnson, I don't know, has it been 3 or 4 times you've been there?
Yes. And we're coming back again.
Our guys have been at all of those. And it's a couple hour drive for us. So what happens is here, these guys that, successful, all got a lot to do with their families. We're getting up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning and driving down to Johnson University. And man, they're taking notes and and the thing is, you could say, well, we've read all the books and we've watched the video, but man, they're grabbing on. They're still passionate about improving and trying to get better.
That's powerful. Well, that's at the heart of an effective team. It doesn't matter if we're a football team or an elder team. Right. We want to be better. And that requires a teachable spirit. That's great. And, it's pretty remarkable here in this very historic church that could be so rooted in tradition.
Yeah.
You are serving as a preaching elder, correct?
Yes. That's, about 4 years ago. They brought me on as an elder. So I'd been here 6 years when they brought me on as an elder already. Now, I guess you could say practically there wasn't much that changed because I was always a part of the conversation. But I think symbolically it was a big deal. As far as I know, I'm the first minister here that's been brought on as an elder.
Yeah. Well, again, you have a very healthy environment, a leadership environment, and it's a privilege to know that you have been using our resources, and that's been a part of that journey.
That's been the primary thing that we've focused in on.
No, that's cool, Joe. Now, if people have questions, may they email you?
Sure. It's Joe, just Joe, at firstchristianmonticello.com.
So Monticello is Monticello.
That's right.
And notice it's .com, not org, .com.
Most people say Monticello, like Thomas Jefferson, but here it's Monticello. So
yeah, that's very good. Well, we sure appreciate it. And you know what? If anybody is watching or listening to this, we are going to give you a $50 coupon for the Elders Toolbox. It's normally $299. If you hear this podcast and you want to take your elders on the journey that Joe has with his elders, $50 is $50. So for $249, you can have this entire curriculum journey, which also includes an all-access pass to our website for digital resources, which in and of itself is a $200 gift.
Right.
So all you have to do is email Jared, Jared, at e2elders.org and mention this podcast. All right. So, well, Joe, thank you. It's been a privilege to become acquainted with you and to hear yet another good story of how Almighty God is moving through a local church for His glory.
Well, thank you guys for what you do. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's a privilege to be in partnership with you. Blessings to you, buddy.
Thanks, Gary.